A funny thing happened to William and Stanley on their way to college.
At what point did you shoot the clerk?
They got framed for murder.
Whoa! Wait a minute!
Now, two kids from New York are in deep trouble.
It's time to make your phone calls.
The clan's here. They're inbred. They sleep with their sisters.
In the deep South.
Some of them do.
And only one man can save them.
We need to call an attorney, a great attorney.
He's not your typical hero.
We got an attorney in the family. Great, who?
He's
my cousin Vinny.
You stick out like a sore thumb around here.
Oh, yeah, you blend.
You graduated from law school 6 years ago. What have you been doing since?
Studying for the bar.
That's a lot of studying.
What's this over here?
You never heard of grits?
Sure. I just actually never seen a grit before.
It's his first case.
Now, didn't I tell you dress appropriately?
You were serious about that?
The way you handled that, Judge. Oh, you're a smooth talker. You are.
It's their last chance.
The two Utes.
Did you say utes?
Yeah, two Utes.
What is a ute?
But with Vinny's style,
I wore this ridiculous thing for you.
And Vinny's girlfriend.
We agreed to get married as soon as you won your first case. My biological clock is ticking like this. And the way this case is going, I ain't never getting married.
They're dead meat.
May I have permission to treat Miss Vito as a hostile witness?
You think I'm hostile? Now wait till you see me tonight.
Joe Pesci is my cousin Vinny.
You two know each other?
Yeah, she's my fiancée.
Well, that would certainly explain the hostility.
You graduated from law school 6 years ago. What have you been doing since?
Studying for the bar.
That's a lot of studying.
What's this over here?
You never heard of grits?
Sure. I just actually never seen it.
Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and I'm finished with this guy. Joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister, and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margot D. Hello, my friend.
What is a ute?
What is a ute? We are dorking out about 1992's My Cousin Vinny. This has been requested multiple times. So like we always say, we take requests. So if you have requests, send them our way. We will talk about My Cousin Vinny. It is written by Dale Launer, who also wrote Ruthless People, which we just talked about.
Oh, okay. I see it now.
Yeah, and he did Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, which is quite funny. And he also did Love Potion Number 9, which I remember thinking was quite cute, but haven't
Sonia
seen
likes
in a
that
long
one.
time. I haven't seen it in a long time. And this movie's also, it's directed by Jonathan Lynn, who directed Clue, which we've also done an episode on. And this one, and then things like Sergeant Bilko and The Whole Nine Yards and other mediocre type movies. And this stars Joe Pesci and Marisa Tomei, Ralph Macchio, Fred Gwynne. Let me ask you this. Did you see this movie in the theater?
Yes, I did. And I remember really, really enjoying it. It was one of those movies. There's one scene, and we'll get to, that I did not enjoy.
Yeah.
It might be the same one.
Yeah. I suspect it might be the same one.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that.
Because it was around the time of Fish Called Wanda, or maybe a couple years after.
Yes.
So the thing I laughed at one time, I was like, oh, no. But anyway, I did like it very much. And I was one of those people, like, it's jam-packed with actors that are really great.
Yes.
That are having a ball. Marisa Tomei shines.
She does.
And I'm not a huge Marisa Tomei person. I don't like her or hate her. I don't think like, oh, I got to see this movie because she's in it. But I like her in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
I think she's. This is why she got an Oscar.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about her and how funny she is, and how funny is just reacting to everything. And she's improbably young and beautiful for this guy.
Yes.
And I just go along with it because she's so into it.
She is so good in this movie, and anybody, like, it is still a thing where people are like, it's a mistake that Marisa Tomei won. I'm like, grow up, first of all. Second,
yeah, that's shitty.
Like, we're going to talk later in the episode about who else was nominated, and when I read the other nominees for you, you'll be like, of course she won. Of course. Like, she's really, really good in this. She is such a star. She's gorgeous. She's beautiful. She's adorable. Everybody drink. And her character is really fun and smart.
I love that they took Brooklyn and kept it Brooklyn, but made her smart.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, she had the accent and the hair and everything, but people always make women like that harpies.
Yes.
And she's just super smart. And
She's super smart.
I love her. She's a great character.
And yeah, it's true. Like Joe Pesci would have been late 40s at this point, and she's
47.
Yeah, and she's early 20s. So like, there's definitely an age gap. But I actually think the relationship, as it's portrayed on screen, is very, very sweet. Like,
very believable.
Yeah, he does really love her. He loves how smart she is. They definitely sass each other, but that is their relationship.
That's their love language.
Yeah, I read in some, on like IMDb or something, that there had been talk of making a sequel to this, and that there were some novelizations being thrown around. That's right, Max. In which they like worked on other cases together, and she worked as his private investigator, and it was supposed to be like kind of like a Thin Man type vibe, and I could definitely see that. If you haven't seen the Thin Man series, I strongly recommend it. They have a lovely banter about them, and that's how they communicate with each other. I really, really like them in this movie. It's really good. If you haven't seen My Cousin Vinny, please go back and watch My Cousin Vinny. I saw it in the theater. I hadn't seen it since the theater. And I don't know how that is, because it's always on. It was always on cable, but I didn't rewatch it over and over, but I did see it in the theater, and I really liked it at the time. I liked it this time.
It's fine. It's great. It's really funny. It's not like I watch and like I need to see that again. But it was like you said, it was on like TBS or something.
Yes.
It has a lot of F-bombs. Like I'm fine with that. I think that makes it more real and funny.
Yes.
But that's the only thing. There's no like sex here. There's no blood. There's no like. It's just it's really family friendly. In a weird way.
It really is. Other than like,
Ralph Macchio is great. I mean, everyone's really good.
Ralph
and I'm
Macchio
totally
and
into it.
His little mustache. Like he's got like this. It's almost like teenage boy mustache. I'm like, you probably should have.
I didn't even see.
That's how little it is.
Yeah, he's so cute.
So if you haven't seen it, or let's go through the plot real fast. There's these two younger people. It's Ralph Macchio and Mitchell Whitfield, and they are driving through Alabama on their way to college, I think, right? I don't know. Let's say yes. And they stop at a convenience store, and they pick up some food and leave, and the clerk at the convenience store is murdered, so they immediately hone in on the two kids from New York who were just there, and they're arrested. They think they're being questioned about how they mistakenly stole a can of tuna, and they're really being questioned about this murder. And that stuff's kind of it's pretty serious. They talk about the death penalty. There's some like a lot of things about protesters hanging around about the death penalty, and they need a lawyer. So instead of their public defender, Ralph Macchio's character realizes that there's a lawyer in the family, and it's Vinny, who is Joe Pesci, and Vinny has finally passed the bar on his sixth attempt. He has no courtroom experience other than some personal injury cases, I guess, that never went to trial. And then he comes to town, and he brings with him his fiancée, Mona Lisa, played by Marisa Tomei. And most of the comedy is like fish out of water comedy. There's a lot of like, they're just trying to get a good night's sleep, and everywhere they stay, it's like fucking steam whistles going off at 5 a.m. or there's cows or there's pigs, and them trying to
owl.
I
like the owl. He tries to shoot the owl.
The screeching owl. It's like, ah! I love how they show up, and like they immediately stick out like sore thumbs, and she's like, oh yeah, you blend. And her first thing is, I bet the Chinese food around here is terrible. Like, I just thought there's jokes. There's like actual jokes in this movie. And Fred,
that's what we like.
Yeah, and Fred Gwynne as the judge. who I tweeted this out. I'm like, not only did Marisa Tomei deserve her Oscar, I think Fred Gwynne should have been nominated and probably won for this movie because I think he's really funny as the judge who just he's not a patient man. Let's just say. No.
And he was, when we were kids, the Munsters were on repeats with the Addams Family. They ran them back to back. They did where I grew up. And so I loved the Munsters. Oh. And the hand. And also because you're Enid and I'm Wednesday Addams.
Yes.
So that all like works together. But he didn't work for a while after that. Or he didn't have big parts. I mean, he was a very tall man with very like long face. He had a very distinct look.
Yes.
So he's very believable as a New Yorker. He's very believable that as a guy like a country boy.
Yes.
That's just so amused yet irritated by Joe Pesci, who's the wardrobe in this movie is fantastic.
Yeah, he's got his leather jacket on with his like I don't know what those pants are called, but they're like pleated in the front and, all black, not wearing a suit. And he finally does get a suit, but eventually it gets dirty. So then at one point he's got like a country, like foghorn, leghorn looking suit like that he's wearing.
He's taking Carrie to the prom in that suit.
Totally.
Yeah, it's very 70s. I mean, the whole thing is that he's never tried a case before. And she's like, I'm like, how is she not working? Because she's beautiful. Yes. She's dynamic. Like whatever she's doing, she'd be successful at. But she's like, I'm an unemployed hairdresser. But that's not important. The important thing is that she's really into cars.
Yes.
They spoon feed us all the stuff that I'm doing 12 Angry Men on another podcast. So I've got trials and trial shows on my brain. And so they feed us the clues throughout the movie. And but it makes sense. It's really well done. It's really like, they would get stuck in mud and not know how to get out. They would not know what grits are. I didn't know.
My God. I laughed out loud when they're like ordering the breakfast and they're like, I guess we'll get the breakfast. And then they show the menu and it's breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Yeah. And they throw some fat shortening on the grill.
It looks so gross.
Oh my God.
It looks so, and they're like, what are grits? Like everything in the movie comes back in another way. So there is a thing where they learn about grits and then grits plays a part in the trial. Like all of it's a tight little script. Like everything there's nothing in here where it's like, why is that here? Like even the running joke about the dude that stiffed Mona Lisa, she tried to hustle the money in a pool hall and he doesn't pay her. And he, Vinny shows up and he's like, I'm going to kick your ass and take the $200. And there's just this running joke about the guy keeps showing up and he's got like $100 bill wrapped around, but it's wrapped around a bunch of ones or what, like it's just all that stuff. It was so funny to me. It made me laugh.
It pays off.
Yes, exactly. She is so smart. Mona Lisa is so smart. She's reading the Alabama law book and she is the one who tells him, like, you're supposed to have access to the files.
Right.
Like he thinks he's so sly getting all the files. Like, she's like, it's called disclosure, you dickhead.
I just love that. Well, everything is ramped up. Like all this happens like in just a short amount of time.
Yes.
Like they're brought to trial. And it's very accurate, like how they bring it to trial, which was a big deal at the time. We haven't had like 20 years of Law and Order yet, where everybody gets it now. But yeah, I liked the trial stuff. I thought it was smart. It paid off. This is something I liked how the cast, it was like a really nice mix of people and also extras in the background. Like it's how it is in the South, like Black people and white people in the same settings. It's not just all white people everywhere.
Yes.
It just felt like very real to me. I wanted to go to that town. I want to go to was it Soap and Suds or what's it called?
What is it called?
I think
it's like
something
it's
in
like
suds.
it's soap and suds or shit. Now I have to look it up.
You
I have
look
to
it up
know
because it's not Soap and Suds. That's down the street from me. That's
Yeah,
a washing place, but it's a bar that they hang out at, and it just looks like it's a ton of fun. But I want to hang out there. I think it's
Sacco Suds.
Sack of Suds. Yeah.
What a name.
What's wrong with that? Yeah. I like the running joke that they can't fall asleep anywhere. You know, these New Yorkers are high maintenance. Like they just like things the way they like things, and they're just constantly moving. And I loved her outfits.
She looks so good. She's
really
good.
Amazing. She looks amazing. Like I said, the accent, she's from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
She just, it's really sweet. One thing, they bring Austin Pendleton in for a scene, and their whole joke is that he has a stutter, and then immediately I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah, I'm like, you could just make him a bad lawyer.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to have a stutter. Or just having a stutter doesn't automatically make him a bad lawyer.
Right.
So, yeah, that part, that rubbed
Not
me
funny.
it was not funny to me. It rubbed me the wrong
mean.
way. It's mean, exactly.
It's cheap. It's not a good joke. It's not a good. I mean, there's a million other ways you could do this with him, because he's a good actor and he's very funny.
Yeah,
and so that's the one knock against it.
Yeah, and this movie in general isn't mean.
No,
it doesn't
no.
punch down like that. Even there is this idea, right, that they're the fish out of water. They're from the big city and they come to this small town, and everyone there is it's not everyone there is a total dum-dum hick or something. There are
Cletus, the yokel.
Yes, exactly. The slack-jawed yokel.
I love Cletus where they have he introduces all the kids. Larry, Rumor, Tallulah.
Some folks will yokel, Cletus, the slack-jawed yokel.
No, they're smart people.
They're good people, and they're good people.
Right, and they all have it looks guilty. I mean, it's the same color car.
Yes.
They're strangers. I mean, it's not crazy that they would think that, but the way he goes about, destroying the evidence that the prosecution is presenting is really smart. It's really funny, and it totally makes sense. And of course, they would totally let them off. We know that's going to happen.
Yes.
It's predictable, but the scenes between Joe Pesci and Marisa Tomei are really good.
Yeah.
She's so believable. The whole thing, my biological clock.
My niece, my daughter's getting married before me.
And I get that. That sucks. Where's put a ring on it, dude? TikTok.
Seriously, what are you waiting for? She's amazing.
I think he wanted to be a lawyer and make money and be able to impress her. So I think he wants to, but he gets it. I loved it at the end when they're driving away. And so, okay, and his wig is not great.
No,
that is
no.
Wow. Oof. They're in that car and it's a convertible, and how they got Joe Pesci to do that.
Really, where's the Oscar for for visual effects for my cousin Vinny?
Because Marisa Tomei's hair is flying everywhere. I'm like, they had to do it like this, but anyway. But she goes, oh no, you actually had to ask for help. Oh my God, what a tragedy! Puts him in his place.
Yes.
But she's not being mean. She's just she's trying to get him. No, dude, this is how it works. People help each other.
Yeah. In a way, I'm I wrote in my notes, are Vinny and Mona Lisa relationship goals? Maybe.
I think so. I would like to be with someone that I could tease and they could tease me back.
Yeah.
And it's never mean.
And they support each other.
Oh, but they love it. They adore each other. And they really, they're each other. They have each other's back. That's always a big thing for me. I like couples who have each other's backs.
Yes, exactly. Even when he puts her on the stand and he's permission to treat her as a hostile witness.
Sole witness. It's my fiance. Well, that gets the hostility. He has some great lines in there.
He does. I think he's so great in this movie. They all are. It's such a fun movie.
Yeah.
I'm glad that people like it so much. It stands up.
So I didn't like the scene with the stutter. I think that could take out. And a couple of those songs are terrible on the soundtrack. It's just like, he's from the city. He's from the York. Like, it's so telegraphing what we're watching. It's like,
we got it.
We got it. We know what we're watching. We're in. We're an hour into this movie. We get it. He's weird to everybody. Got it. But still, those are just nitpicking. I mean, it's super enjoyable. If you're looking for a comedy, you want just like a light comedy that'll take you away from like what's going on in the world. And goddamn, last week or so,
seriously,
we could use that. I mean, don't get too caught up in it. But yeah,
it's very pleasant and nice. Yeah. It's just a nice comedy with jokes. Imagine that.
Solid joke, solid premise. Yeah, it's a frothy confection, and I really enjoy it. That's what I say.
I read on IMDb that Debbie Mazar was considered for
she would have been good.
And I'm like, yeah, of course she was.
Follow Debbie Mazar, by the way, on Instagram. She is living her best life in Italy with her husband.
Really? I should go look.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go look.
She's from Brooklyn, and she was living in Windsor Terrace, like where we got the hot dogs, like right by there. And she and her husband moved just before COVID. They moved to Italy, and she decided to stay there. And she posts pictures of herself. Like, she'll just be meeting friends for lunch. I don't think this woman owns one pair of jeans. Like, this woman gets dressed. Yeah.
Same.
She gets dressed but her and her hair and makeup and everything is just, she's like one of Madonna's oldest friends.
Yes, that's right.
She's super fashionable, and she's a delight to follow.
I will do that. I would love to see some pictures of Debbie chilling in Italy. That sounds great.
Italy. Anyway, she would have been good, but I think it's I am curious now, like, who else was nominated?
Let me go through that for you. So Marisa Tomei won. The other nominees were Judy Davis for Husbands and Wives.
I don't even remember that
exactly. Movie. Joan Plowright for Enchanted April.
Yeah.
Seriously, all these movies. Vanessa Redgrave for Howard's End.
Yeah.
Miranda Richardson for Damage.
So it's a bunch of white ladies.
Yes, a bunch of white, like British or Australian ladies, and a very, like, all of them are like, actually almost all of them are older white ladies.
Yeah.
With older white lady problems, except for Damage, which
I don't even remember what that's about.
I think that movie had Jeremy Irons in it, and it was all fucked up too. But like, we're talking about a comedy, which rarely happens. And of course she won compared to all of these.
If you're going to do it, if that's the horse race, I mean, I'm pretty I saw all those movies. I can't remember Damage. I'm sure I saw it. I don't remember them in any of them.
Exactly. Like,
when you say My Cousin Vinny, my first thought is her.
Yeah, we're all still talking about Marisa Tomei and My Cousin Vinny. And it's not just because she won an Oscar. It's because she's really good in this. She deserved to win. Fuck people who hate her.
It's not easy to do comedy.
No.
It's not easy to play the sexy seductress of like a 5'4" New Jersey, Gambino type.
Comedy's hard.
It's hard, and it's so believable. You totally get, like, she really digs him. There's something about him that it's all of her scenes when she's on the stand, when she's doing all that car talk, it sounds like she really knows that shit.
Exactly.
It doesn't sound like she's reading a script or she memorized words. Like, that for that alone, she deserves it. But she delivers all these lines beautifully. She wears the clothes great. The fashions, like I said, top notch.
Yeah.
It just satisfies. It's like Snickers. It satisfies. I'm just gonna talk and ad talk. Advertorials.
She won for supporting, but when you watch that movie and it's over, she is the star.
Yeah.
Like, she is what I remember the most from that movie.
Yeah.
And because Marisa Tomei is super beautiful. Like, she's just beautiful.
Yes.
But she's really fucking funny, and people we should have more Oscar nominations for comedies. I think we all can agree on that. That should be a thing, and she deserved it. And then I joked about Gwynne winning for My Cousin Vinny, which he wasn't even nominated, but I went and looked up like who was nominated, and I thought you might think this was interesting. So one of them was David Paymer for Mr. Saturday Night.
We talked about this, right? That movie.
Yes.
And it's one of the ones we're thinking of doing. Because remember JB describing it to us? Yes. Okay.
Yes, because it
was on Broadway for like a week. Yeah.
Mr. Saturday Night is one of those movies that they make where they're like, we're gonna win so many Oscars,
right? And it's true. Billy Crystal plays this aging comedian, which he's that age now, but he was aging himself up. It was 30 years ago. And he had David Paymer play his brother. Helen Hunt is in there. Of course she is. And it just was, he's this, I think his character was really obnoxious. It's a very boring movie. It's not a good movie.
Boring.
Oh,
so boring.
So dull. I mean, about this like comic that like pissed everybody off in show business, that should be really, cool to watch and exciting. And it's just dull.
So dull. And then the other ones were Al Pacino for Glengarry Glen Ross.
He's good in that.
He is good in that. I didn't look it up, but I would assume then Jack Lemmon was nominated for Best Actor for that movie because
I don't know.
He's. I mean, we just talked about this recently? Like
last week, I was like because of him,
yeah, because it like absolutely breaks your heart. Actually, I'm gonna go look it up right now. Best Actor. He's not. He's not nominated?
It's a scam. It's a fraud. This whole thing's a sham.
All right. Actually, I'll finish Best Supporting Actor. So it was, Al Pacino and then Jack Nicholson for A Few Good Men. Like
he's great in that.
Sure. Jay Davidson for The Crying Game. He's good. He's good in that. And then the winner was Gene Hackman for Unforgiven.
He's great in that.
I would just take out David Paymer and put in Fred Gwynne. That's me.
Yeah, I think that was Hollywood. Like, fuck you, Billy Crystal. We're going to nominate the guy who plays her. That's what I swear. Yeah,
because
I think that was.
Because best actor was Denzel Washington was nominated for Malcolm X, and he's great.
Yes, he's fantastic in that.
Stephen Ray for The Crying Game.
He was great.
Yep. Clint Eastwood for Unforgiven.
He's fantastic in that.
Al Pacino for Chaplin.
What? Al Pacino?
I'm sorry, Robert Downey Jr.
Jesus.
Sorry, I
want to work at Silent Pictures.
I spoiled the end.
And I'm going to stick my head up her ass.
Because Al Pacino won for Scent of a Woman. I'm sorry, I skipped the line there.
Yeah. So that was also I remember Denzel Washington gave an interview, and he expected to win. He said if he's okay losing if it's to Al Pacino, but if it's not to Al Pacino, he's going to be pissed.
Yeah.
He made it very clear.
Yeah. And the Al Pacino Oscar is 100% one of those like career Oscars. Like, hoo-ha! Hoo-ha! I'm an Oscar winner. Hoo-ha!
We have to talk about that movie one day because it's one of those movies like, I don't give a shit about 2/3 of it.
Yeah.
And then it goes to like that last 20 minutes and then I'm in.
Yeah, because then he's doing his Al Pacino thing.
Yeah, like the rest of it's so long and they're just driving around. But once he gets back to the school, I'm like totally invested. So they end it just right. I think but that movie's way too fucking long.
For sure. And, it's funny. I just saw on Twitter somebody posted like writing tips from Billy Wilder. And one of the tips was like ending the movie, like, don't hang around, basically. Yeah. And I was like, this is one of my biggest complaints about movies now is that they go like 10 or 15 minutes too long where they give us an ending and it's like, look how happy they are now. And it's like, just fucking end it. Just end on the joke or whatever. Like Some Like It Hot. Nobody's perfect, and it just fucking ends. It's not, and then we see Tony Curtis and Marilyn Monroe together, and like, just end.
Yeah.
So more of that, please.
Yeah, leave the audience wanting more. Like I wanted, like as soon as the credits show up, I'm like, oh damn, that was great. I want to look at it again. Yeah, that's how you should feel. I totally agree.
So many movies.
William Wilder knew what he was talking about.
Imagine that. What a hot take.
Imagine that. My hot take.
They if a movie, like, we will all hold them in high esteem if they could just stick the landing. Like, it could be, it could almost be garbage for 90 minutes. And then if it sticks the landing, you're like, that was something.
It's like you said, but yeah, I mean, especially with the Marvel films, I mean, and I like the Marvel films, but wow, they have a funeral scene that goes on like almost as long as a funeral.
So long.
And
I like them too. I like them too.
I like them when I'm home. I'm folding my laundry. I'm doing something, and that comes. I start watching, but it's like, damn,
I'm really burned out on Marvel movies. I know, like, I'm seeing previews for the new Ant-Man one, and I like the Ant-Man movies, and I'm like, I think I'm just gonna wait and see it on TV, like on streaming, because I'm like, I'm just marveled out. I'm like, I can't.
A lot of us are.
I also wanted to mention that Marisa Tomei won Best Breakthrough Performance from the MTV Movie Awards.
And she was around for like 10 years at that point.
Yes.
But okay.
I thought you might like to see some of the other nominees for Breakthrough Performance. Please. Rosie O'Donnell for A League of Their Own.
Oh, she's good in that movie.
She is good in that movie. We did an episode.
She's an asshole, but we talked about her on What a Creep a while ago. I have my stories about her, but I think she's a great performer, and I love that she supports kids in the arts. She does a lot of that. So even creeps have some creeps do good things, and we always talk about that in our episodes. This movie I can't believe we haven't done yet. Kathy Najimy for Sister Act. How did we not do Sister Act?
I know, right? I'm like,
how is that possible? We
need to do Sister Act pretty soon.
Yeah.
And then Whitney Houston for The Bodyguard.
She's great in that. I mean, she's Whitney. I mean,
I would say is her performance great? But she's doing the thing that needs to be done in that movie. And
like Queen of the Night.
Exactly. Let's all dunk. And then the last one was Halle Berry for Boomerang.
Halle Berry is luminous.
She is. And Boomerang is pretty good movie,
I remember
actually.
that's cute. I remember that's really cute.
I liked Boomerang when I saw it.
Is it that Eddie Murphy?
Mm-hmm.
I sent a clip around. You need to check it out. Eddie Murphy was being interviewed because he has a movie on Netflix, which I'm going to watch this weekend with Jonah Hill.
Oh, yeah. I haven't watched it yet. My sister watched it. She said it was fine.
Wow.
I know.
Because your sister likes everything. So
Michelle loves comedies. Like, she loves comedies, and like she'll let a lot slide if it'll make her laugh. And she's like, there was some funny stuff. I'm like, oh.
Okay, well, so Eddie Murphy is giving. I'll keep that in the back of my mind. So Eddie Murphy's is being interviewed, and there's an audience with the interview, and he said one of the things he learned in the business is that if you have an idea and you feel passionate about it, he says just keep at it. Like, just keep at it, keep refining it, keep pitching people. He's like, someone made Sharknado. I mean, right?
Yes.
And Sonia's friend's the person who helped make Sharknado.
Yes. That's right. You too could be Anthony. You could make Sharknado.
Yeah, and that's what that was his example. In a couple of examples, that was the one that, like, of course I started cracking up. But it's like, he's right. Like, if they're passionate about an idea, just keep at it. Somebody will find you.
Yes, and for people who don't know, so the director of the Sharknado movies is my friend Anthony, and Anthony was a horror movie kid. He was one of those kids that watched scary movies growing up and like made his own scary movies. And I used to be in them sometimes. I'd play like the coroner's assistant or whatever, you know, and like he just kept doing it. And now he makes stuff, and it's like, you can think about Sharknado whatever you want to think, but it makes a lot of people happy, and he gets to make movies. That's amazing.
What's better than that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I will watch the You People, I think is what it's called, with Eddie Murphy and Jonah Hill. I will probably watch it, but yeah.
I like everybody that's in it, but I was sort of like, when I saw the trailer, I'm like, I'm not laughing. Like, you see My Cousin Vinny trailer? Yeah. They have jokes aplenty in there. You're like, oh, this is going to be fun. And it was.
They had Oscar winner Joe Pesci because he had won for Goodfellas. And it's like, So it's so bananas that Joe Pesci, like the same year that he won for Goodfellas is the same year of Home Alone. And then he does something like My Cousin Vinny. And then he was doing things like The Super and, Lethal Weapon 2 or 3 or whichever one he was in. Like, Joe Pesci had a run.
He did. He really did. And he was like I said, he was like 47. Like he'd been in show business forever. And he was a hairdresser for a while just to make ends meet. He was a singer. He tried everything and he just kept at it.
Yes.
So he's like, yeah, I'm going to take this time. I'm going to work as much as I can. He's retired now. He was in The Irishman.
Good
and
for
I think
him,
he's doing
man.
one other one. Yeah, I say so too. Good for you.
Yeah. You want to do some songs?
Oh, yes. Hold on. Give me a sec.
Okay.
I was also looking at the there is a teaser trailer for the Gwen Shamlin movie and it stars Jennifer Grey as Gwen Shamlin.
That is fascinating to me. And
It's gonna be a lifetime, so I'm gonna see the shit out of that. You know that.
yeah. If you haven't, like, we did a whole episode on her. So
yeah,
what a creep.
So let's go. So it's March 14th, 1992. Jesus, so long ago. Number 10, Amy Grant, Good for Me. Jesus,
Amy Grant.
She had a run for a while there in the
Yes.
early 90s. Prince and the MPG, Diamond and Pearls.
I was totally into all the Prince and all of his different backup bands.
Tevin Campbell, Tell Me What You Want Me to Do.
I don't remember that one, but I bet if I
don't
heard it,
either.
I would probably recognize it.
Atlantic Star, Masterpiece. I don't remember that.
I don't remember that one either. How do I not know
remember
this?
I remember this one. Shanice, I Love Your Smile.
Yes.
That was cute. She was
very
cute. Eric Clapton, Tears in Heaven.
Fuck that song.
I know.
That song is such a bummer.
That guy, yeah.
Ugh.
He was also one of our creeps, and what a creep, but he's also been through some tragedy.
Yes.
This song, God, it drove me nuts. Vanessa Williams, Save the Best for Last.
Yeah, that song was
Wedding song forever.
Yes.
Michael Jackson, Remember the Time. Good song.
That's a good song. I just heard it the other day and was singing along. You and me on the phone. What about us, girl?
Right, said Fred. I'm too sexy.
Come on. We're not made of stone. That's a good song.
You know what? You're going to do a one-hit wonder. That's what you want to do.
Yes.
Because they've been using that in trailers and commercials ever since. Like, I don't think these guys have to work. Good for them. And remember this. Number one song, Mr. Big, To Be With You. Oh, God.
I'm just the one that wants to be with you. Yeah, it was like Mr. Big and Extreme, like More Than Words.
Oh,
like,
God.
There was all these like rocker guys doing ballads.
They were power ballads.
Yes. It was like right before Nirvana, right? Or maybe Nirvana had already happened by then, but
yeah, they're kind of like, so hair metal, they were power ballads, but it was like Motley Crue's power ballad, like a Home Sweet Home, which I kind of love because they still have a lot of guitar in it.
Yeah.
And then they went kind of more acoustic
yes.
because then it was becoming more pared down. I kind of miss the guitar solo, like everybody playing. Yeah, there's something fun about that.
Absolutely. What else are you dorking out about?
I saw on IDTV, I don't know if you saw this, they had The Price of Glee.
It showed up on my Hulu as something I might like to watch, and I was like, Hulu, you know me too well. And I went ahead and added that shit to my list, but I haven't watched it yet.
It's a bummer. It's really sad. It's these kids were worked. Like, I never watched the show. I did. I know people who did. Yeah, which look, I watch all the Housewives, so I'm not judging, but it just wasn't my jam. But the way that these people became so famous overnight, and the level of fame that they had, and they were on tour all the time, and they were constantly working. Like the pressure they were under is just unbelievable. And then the number of deaths that happened behind the scenes, not just the cast.
Yes, that's bananas.
It's bananas. So it's kind of a bummer just to, you want to chase that with something else when you're done. I love the podcast. I wish we thought of this for What a Creep on If Books Could Kill.
Oh yeah, that's I have it marked on my because it's Michael Hobbs who also does Maintenance Phase.
Yes,
which I love.
He does all these books that were like airport books, like books that were #1 sellers. It was just basically people flying everywhere that bought these books.
Yes.
So this one was Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus from John Gray. I'm like, oh, we should have fucking thought of that because wow, what an asshole this guy was. Like the bullshit this man sold.
It's not too late. We could still do an episode.
Maybe because my friend was his publicist. So yeah. And one of his ex-wives, Barbara DeAngelis, I worked with her. She was a romantic, a relationship guru. She had these like infomercials. Oh. And she was married to Doug Henning at one point.
Doug Henning?
Yeah, she was kooky.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've been working on a presentation and I learned how to edit video. It's very exciting. But so I didn't get to watch as much TV as I normally do. So I'm really into Below Deck. If anybody wants to talk about Below Deck, please let me know because I have so much to go over. I want to also say Howard Stern, they did this last week. When Adam's on the show, it goes so long that we don't have time to do this segment.
Yeah.
So we're doing it this week. So a couple weeks ago, Howard Stern, one of his guys on his show, I think it's Benji, does these crank phone calls. And he did one to this psychic show. And you call them and they give you answers. And he basically took clips from Home Alone and he called the show and says, hi, my name is Kevin and my parents left me alone. And now I got these guys trying to break into my house. And they put clips from the movies. And he's like, I'm going to cut this guy in the balls. Hold on a second. Like, oh, no, Kevin, don't do that.
Any psychic should know that they were.
Well, no, they didn't. That's what Howard said. Howard's like, don't they hear the music in the background? Like, don't they understand it's a movie clip? But it was the funniest fucking thing. I was howling. Because they were so upset.
Oh, my God.
Oh, no, Kevin, don't do that. Just call the police. I'm sorry.
Shouldn't they have been able to predict that they were going to get?
Exactly. That was the joke. Yeah.
Come on.
But still, it's fun to listen to.
Yes.
It's like, where are your parents, Kevin? They went to Paris without me.
Psychic needs to watch some TV.
Exactly. Anyway, that's it.
Okay. I watched the first episode of The Last of Us on HBO, which is based on the video game. I have never played the video game. But I had heard a lot of good things about it, and it stars Pedro Pascal, and I really like him. So I was like, sure, I'll check it out. And it's a fucking bummer. And then the show really stresses me out. It's very Walking Dead-ish. You know, it's about like a fungus that starts taking over people and turning them into creatures, basically. And some people are not infected, some people are, and it reminds me of The Walking Dead. It was stressing me out, the pilot episode.
Yeah.
It's very dark. I am going to watch the second one. I can watch it and acknowledge, like, this is very well made and this is very good and everybody's very good in it. I don't know if it's for me. I'm like, this may not be something I want to watch right now, just because it's really dark and fucked up. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch that. But what I saw was very good. So if you like that sort of thing, I recommend The Last of Us. But I don't know if I'm going to keep watching it.
No, that's a pass for me.
More my jam was I watched the first 2 episodes of Poker Face.
I can't wait to check that out. It's on Peacock, right?
Yes, it's on Peacock, and it stars Natasha Lyonne, who I love. I love her. Like I think she's so funny, and she's always so good in everything she does. And it's her character can tell when people are lying. Like she just has a bullshit detector, basically. Like she can tell when people lie, and so it's kind of a murder mystery of the week type thing where she is on the road and meets different people and solves crimes, basically.
I'm in.
It's really enjoyable. It's super, like, she's super fun. It's created by Ryan Johnson, who did like the Knives Out movies, and because of him and probably because of her too, they were getting like a lot of people to be in it. So Benjamin Bratt's in it, Adrian Brody shows up, and they're both in the first episode. The second episode has the woman who's nominated for an Oscar for The Whale. What's her name? I'm gonna look it up right this very second. Hong Chow from The Whale. She was also in The Menu. She was the like main hostess in The Menu.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so she's in the second episode. Like, it's got lots of people that you recognize showing up in it. It's made me wonder if I would really like to watch Murder, She Wrote. I was like, maybe I would like to go back and watch Murder, She Wrote.
That was my mother's favorite show.
I'm like, maybe I would like to go back and watch, because I know like there's a whole bunch of people out there that love to watch like old Columbo episodes, and I'm like,
yeah,
I wonder if I would like to go back and watch some old like procedurals, because I used to do that with Law and Order.
I kind of miss that.
Yeah. So I really like Poker Face. I'm definitely going to keep watching. You did not watch the Salt Lake City reunion, but you...
No, but I listened to Watch What Crappens, which is my favorite podcast, and I feel like I did watch it now. Like, they describe it so well.
These women are... They're just like off the chain. I don't know a better way to describe it. Like, they just all like are just throwing so much shit at each other, and like Andy can't even like rein in the conversation at this point. They're all just yelling at each other. And then all the stuff with Jen, Jen Shaw like has pled guilty, and she got 6 years,
6.5 years.
Yeah.
And then ever since she's pled guilty, and she's due to go to jail soon, prison soon. But she refused to do another interview with Bravo because she says they're not getting my story straight. And so now she's put out a thing. She started a website. She said, sign up for emails from my website and I will keep you updated on the real story. I'm like, this woman went to jail for her emails.
Is she charging?
That's exactly it. People are like, oh, is she going to ask for your credit card? Because is she going to sell your list to somebody? I mean, supposedly Andy confronts Meredith next week with her. You don't seem to be all that upset with Jen for what she's done. Like, you just seem to ignore that. And
they all are. They're all like that.
And it's bullshit.
Yeah. It is bullshit. I'm like, she has admitted to what she's done, and you've heard the witness statements at this point, and they're still like, really?
I think, well, Good Morning America had did interviews with some of her victims, and one of them, one of them was 92, and he died by suicide because she took $100,000 from him. And so they made the point that, well, they recorded it December 15th, which is maybe not the best time to get people together, because they're so stressed out.
Right.
And she wasn't sentenced yet.
That's true. I also had watched the like ABC News like half-hour special about this whole scandal. So after seeing that in all the interviews that they have with victims, you're like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like,
fuck this woman.
Yeah,
I mean,
seriously, fuck her.
Visit her in jail. I mean, look, if you did, you're my ride or die. If you did something like that, I'd be like, I love you. We'll get you a good defense. I'll visit you in jail.
Yes.
I'll make a cake and I'll put a little file in there just as a joke. But you got to go. You've got to, this was wrong.
Yeah.
It's okay to judge a person for doing something terrible.
Yes.
It's okay to say to them, I love you, but this is fucked up.
Yeah, what you did is fucked up, and I will support you while you pay your penance for what you've done.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could totally do that.
Yeah, but that's how normal humans would be.
Yeah,
But anyways, they need a new cast. They need to get some people.
I'm very curious at what they're going to do, because then they bring on like the women who are like the friends of, and I'm like, I don't know if they're enough. I just don't know
There's
if
like
that's
two
enough.
Angies and another Jen or something, and they're fine, but they're not sticking out. I mean, they miss something with Jen and with Mary, but Jen and Mary are lunatics who like hurt people. I mean, Mary's going to have her comeuppance at one point
for sure.
But yeah, that's a show. And then I feel bad because I got you roped into it, but there's still something enjoyable about it.
No, don't feel bad. Like, watching this shit brings me joy. I'm very happy that I watched the show, and like I text with like my sister about it and my friend Kate, and we chat about it. Like, I'm glad I watch it. I also think, like, I'll just text them and be like, these bitches be crazy. Like, they're crazy.
Yeah.
They, you know, they know what good television is, I guess. Some of them believe their own hype, like Heather, where it's like Heather had she had 2 really good seasons where she like came out, looking great.
Beloved.
Yeah. And this season, not so much. I was like, she's being a huge bitch to people.
Yeah.
And she is showing so much grace to Jen, and like none of that grace for anyone else. It's kind of bizarre. But at the same time, the show's fascinating, and I keep watching. So
it's fascinating, though. Yeah, exactly.
Do you have any thoughts about the Oscar nominations?
Not one. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I think I'm interested in that movie where there's the woman that's nominated for Best Actress, and the husband, it's Mary McCormick's husband is the director. His name's Michael something or other. And I know I'm being very non-specific.
Oh, is it the movie To Leslie?
To Leslie, thank you. Yeah, it was sort of this, I never heard of this movie till like a week ago.
Yes.
And then people are talking about this performance. So I might go see that. But I'm not really that jazzed about any of the...
There's things I see in these nominations where I'm like, that's awesome. Like, I like somebody was like, of course Everything Everywhere All at Once is nominated. It's total like Oscar movie. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
It is not.
There's nothing Oscar movie about Everything Everywhere All at Once. It involves a fucking everything bagel. And at one point, dudes are trying to shove trophies up their ass. There is nothing about that movie that is Oscar baity. I love that it's getting all that love. I think that's awesome, and then I was happy to see like Colin Farrell's nominated, and I'm happy that Brendan Fraser's getting attention. I wish it wasn't for a movie like The Whale, which I'm not really interested in seeing, but
no, I bought the book of the play, and I'm like, I can't even read it. I'm sort of like, ooh.
Yeah, but then, and I thought Austin Butler's really good as Elvis, and I was like, that's awesome.
Yes.
And then, but then there's things like, again, like, someone like Mia Goth, who was so great in X or Pearl, and it's like, well, she's not nominated because that's a horror movie, and we don't really nominate horror movies. Or Anna de Armas is nominated for Blonde, and I was like, Jesus, I didn't know anyone who liked Blonde. How did that happen?
She was good in it. I mean, she was a different Marilyn that we normally see, but there's been like a million Marilyn movies, and this one was just really gross. I mean, but I think people like her.
Yeah. I guess
and
that's
it took a lot of guts to do it. I mean, I guess, she put herself out there. Boy, she put herself out there.
That's true.
That JFK scene, yikes.
I didn't even start it because I was like, no, thanks. It was too ugly. It's just too ugly for me. I'm sensitive.
Well, I am too. We have, Adam, I think it was off the air. Maybe it was off the air, but we were talking about Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah.
And I think maybe he mentioned on the air, and he says, oh, you should see this. There's this monster series, and it was on HBO.
Masters of Horror.
Right.
And it was an episode about Black Cat.
Right, and I forgot the story of the black cat. He like strangles a cat in the fucking movie. I'm like,
Adam,
no,
no, that's so, it's so upsetting.
No, yeah, I mean, of course it's not real, but still, it's not, So yeah, I get it.
Yeah, and then things like, of course, like no women are nominated for directing, and the usual shit. But
Sarah
Oscars.
Polley wasn't nominated?
She was nominated for writing.
She's a good adapter.
Yeah. She adapted the screenplay for Women Talking, which I haven't seen yet. My mother and sister saw, and they both really, really liked it. And I am going to watch it. And we just talked about this before we started recording. I was like, that's what
it is.
Yeah, I was like, that's a good one for like, I don't need to see it in the theater. I can stream that one. So
I'm a big fan of Sarah Polley.
Yeah.
And I thought she did a really nice job with Alias Grace.
Yes. That was so good.
So good. And her documentary about her mom was so good.
Yes.
And I loved her book. So I'm a fan.
Yeah. We're fans here. I was happy to see like Michelle Yeoh be nominated and
sure.
Ki Kwai Khan from
Yes.
He's adorable. Everybody drink. Like I love him. I hope he wins. Yeah, so I mean there's lots of stuff here. I do love the Oscars. I'm shitting all over the nominations or whatever, but I'll totally watch because I just like that stuff. I love movies. I get excited when people talk about movies. So
yeah, I do too. I've had Oscar fatigue for a few years. So
yeah, well, because they're
too long.
We know they're too long, and we also know that they're bullshit. Like it's bullshit. It's like who marketed the best. You know, it's the same like 5 movies nominated in almost all the categories, which is why it's exciting when you get like a Marisa Tomei winning, right? Because it's not like My Cousin Vinny was nominated for Best Picture or something. When you get a rando nomination like that, it's exciting.
It is exciting. Yeah, I just like I'll watch. It's Jimmy Kimmel again. I mean, I like Jimmy Kimmel, but you know, I just wish, but they're never going to change. Like, there's just no impetus to change. And every year, we've talked about this, every year they complain about it's too long and the ratings are down this year. And it's because nobody likes these movies. And some asshole's going to be like, well, Maverick should have been nominated more. And that's the liberal commies running shit. And I'm like, ugh.
Exactly. Ugh. It's also just, if they just made the Oscars, people who love movies will watch the Oscars. So why don't you lean into that and make it like really a celebration about movies and cut some of the stupid bits that they do? Then the show wouldn't be over 3 hours long. And just give out the fucking awards. That's what we want. We want them to give out the awards. I don't want to see Jimmy Kimmel be like, are you hungry? I brought snacks. Fuck off. I just want to see the awards.
Let's take a selfie. This is totally a natural thing to do right now.
I hate that shit. I hate it.
Let's give Samsung a big shout out to 1 billion people. Yeah, exactly. I love watching Oscars. They were very smart a few years ago to just put all their stuff on YouTube. And you can look up like 1977 Jane Fonda with like windswept hair and barely any makeup and just, you know, saying, and then Vanessa Redgrave saying something horrible and then somebody else scolding her. I'm like, that's what I want. That's great. But it's just awards and stuff.
Yes.
I don't want to.
Exactly.
You don't need to, too many montages, too many. Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but Casablanca was a great movie.
What?
Let's show clips from Casablanca and E.T. and Gone with the Wind. Let's show clips from the same 5 fucking movies we show every year
Fred
to show
Astaire and Ginger Rogers.
Exactly.
It's the same. I mean, look, we like those movies. We've seen them, but it's just like, do you remember That's Hollywood?
Yes.
That show, That's Hollywood. I love that show.
Yeah. Oh, it was called
a
That's
70s show.
Entertainment. There was
Oh,
maybe I'm thinking of there was those That's Entertainment that was like all like movie montages and it was like hosted by like Gene Kelly or something.
No, this was hosted by Mr. Cunningham from Happy Days.
Oh, yes. Okay. I know what you're talking about now.
We'd watch that and then In Search Of, like they were back to back, a weekly show.
Yeah, I was mixing it up with
I'm old.
The movie montage, That's Entertainment. There was like 1, 2, and 3, and it was all like, I think the third one was That's Dancing. It was all stuff from musicals.
I like to watch dancing, but it's all. I think, but also by then, because there's now like 20 awards that lead up to the Oscars. I'm like, okay, Brendan Fraser. I mean, sometimes they have. I mean, it was great when Moonlight, really won.
Yeah,
and not La La Land, and
which I love La La Land, but I get it. Like,
Yeah.
Moonlight is special. It's a special movie, and it was not the kind of movie that wins awards.
Right.
And that's exciting. And I mean, like a movie like I'm looking here, it's like All Quiet on the Western Front. I'm like, it's some war movie, right? I was like, yeah, sure. That's probably, Avatar, The Way of Water. I was like, I can't believe that's even nominated. But the first one was nominated, so I guess that makes sense. Banshees of Inisherin. I'm like, it's very, very good. I'm like, is it an Oscar movie? Not usually.
It's hard because I mean, they're streaming so many of them now. They used to wait till after the awards before you could rent them, so you had to go and see them.
Yeah.
So that's part of it too. I think, like, you see something early January. By the time the Oscars come around, I'm like, I don't even remember it.
Right. Like something like The Fabelmans. I was like, yeah, of course that's nominated for Oscars. That feels like something that would be nominated for Oscars. Even Tar feels like something that would be nominated.
Both of them I need to watch. I haven't watched them yet.
I actually haven't watched The Fabelmans yet, and I'm sure it's very entertaining. It's Steven Spielberg. It's almost like he knows how to make movies. It's probably really good.
Yeah. Somebody had on Twitter, it was a shot of Columbo, and it was Steven Spielberg, like 24 years old, directed an episode of Columbo, and he just did this shot where it starts from a car, and then it pans back, and then it's somebody behind his desk, and it's like a gorgeous shot. Like, and this kid who never even went to film school,
so amazing.
It's amazing, right? And there was a lot of those kinds of people in the Columbo shows, good writers and good guest stars. And I think I want to just be back in the 70s, maybe. If I could have that with internet, I'd be really happy. Can we make that happen?
Well, there's a whole there's the book called, it was like Easy Riders and Raging Bulls.
Right.
And it was and it's all about like the filmmaking of the 70s. And I mean, it's really focused on like kind of a core group of dudes, right? So it's like Spielberg, Scorsese, George Lucas, I think maybe Brian De Palma's in there.
De Palma for sure.
Like maybe John Carpenter's in there. And like no, not John Carpenter.
Carpenter ragged on Scorsese a lot.
Okay, maybe I'm maybe I'm lumping him in with like Brian De Palma, but they all, like the way they all interacted, they all supported each other, like the influence that they had and how it was coming out of like 50s and 60s Hollywood that was all like big musicals, like big studio MGM movies, and then 70s was kind of this like gritty, almost like independent type movies, and then in the 80s we kind of go back to like big budget things, and then the 90s we had like indies again with like Kevin Smith and Spike Lee and all of that. And I don't know, are we gonna get to something like that again? I don't know, but 70s movies are fucking dope.
Yeah, they really are.
We should do some more 70s movies. They're always fun.
I love them. Anytime.
But we have
the music is great.
But we have to do Sister Act, so they're just gonna have to wait.
I know. It's like I want to talk about Sister Act. I want to talk about grumpy old men. I need there's some I was just like I need to discuss these things. Yes. I get why Mean Streets is like worth chatting about, but at the same time it doesn't make me as happy as Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon beating the shit out of each other in an ice pond. That's
oh. Yeah. Okay. So that reminds me, last week I watched The Taking of Pelham 123 on HBO Max, and it came out in 1974, and I've never seen it. And I was like, oh my God, this is what Quentin Tarantino obviously based Reservoir Dogs on. And I did not know this because I'd never seen the movie before. And it's got Walter Matthau in the 70s, and I love Walter Matthau. I just think he's the best.
He's the best.
But and it's got Robert Shaw and Hector
Elizondo.
Yes, thank you. And they take over a subway train, and they're all they have names, it's Mr. Red, Mr. Brown, and Mr. Blue. So it's very much like Reservoir Dogs. And I was like, Jesus, I didn't even fucking know that. How did I not see this movie before?
Do you see, when we were kids, we would see Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
And then years later, I'd see Peter Lorre in a movie.
Yes.
And I'm like, holy shit. Or one of my favorite Blazing Saddles.
Yes.
And it's Madeline Kahn is doing Marlena Dietrich.
Yes.
I'd never seen it. I'm a kid. I don't know what a Marlena Dietrich is. I just think she has a goofy accent. And then I see Marlena Dietrich movies. I'm like, holy shit.
Yes.
That was what it was all. I mean, yes.
Like, I know that like Quentin Tarantino is like a student of film, and in meaning that he's
He'll
like,
tell you that.
no shit, right? No shit, Sonia. It's like the fucking.
You know what I mean? I worked in a video store.
I worked in a video
I saw
store.
everything.
Yeah.
I knew everything. I had like everybody come in, and I would like recommend. And I like to read. I love it when Norm Macdonald did Quentin Tarantino. It was the best.
By the way, I really like Quentin Tarantino movies.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
But Quentin Tarantino like annoys.
I find him insufferable.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to sit next to him.
No.
At like a long dinner, like maybe you slice a pizza.
No.
But not like at a tasting dinner or something. I think like, oh, he would just suck the oxygen.
Yeah.
out
What
of
did Fiona Apple was like one time was sitting with Quentin Tarantino and Paul Thomas Anderson, and they were both like on cocaine or something, and she was like, what a fucking nightmare. Like just a couple of film bros just blah, 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 blah. Well, actually blah, blah, blah. By the way, I like both their movies. It's fine. But like they're insufferable. That's a good description of them. Like, and I know that like he's seen a lot of movies and that a lot of his movies are influenced by other movies. I know this, but I didn't know it was specifically like this movie. So it's super good. It's streaming on HBO Max. And I texted my dad and I was like, Dad, you need to watch this movie. And he's like, I haven't seen it. And I'm like, how have you not seen it? Like, damn, Dad.
It's great.
It's great.
It's really great. I love New York. You know, I like my New York City movies too. And I love grimy 70s subways that are just like graffiti everywhere. And
I probably need to show it to Calvin.
Yeah.
I'm like, he might like it. I'm like,
it's got trains.
It's got trains. That's all he cares about.
Yeah.
We also watched Night of the Comet, which is he wanted to watch a zombie movie, and surprisingly, most zombie movies are rated R, everybody. They're like super bloody and gross. And so I showed him Night of the Comet.
So 28 days, you didn't watch that with your son. If you're 11-year-old.
Fucking show him Dawn of the Dead. He's like fucked up for life. No. I went with Night of the Comet because it's PG-13 and it's very bloodless. So I showed him that. I love that movie. I was very surprised that he really, really liked it. Like, he had a really good time. And it's, you know, a comet comes and wipes out most people, and some people, they turn into these like zombies, and some of the survivors are like these two sisters, and it's very 80s. Like, they go shopping together because who's gonna stop them, and it's delightful. So Night of the Comet.
I just realized soon on Apple there's going to be the Michael J. Fox documentary.
Oh yeah.
He talks about it. I haven't read his book yet, but he talked about his, Teen Wolf, and like, do you remember Teen Wolf?
Yes.
Oh my God. But I don't know if you could show it to him because there's a lot of sex in there.
Yeah.
There's wolf sex.
Wolf sex. I'm like, I probably could show it to him. I'm sure it's
not that bad.
If it's PG-13, he could probably handle it.
He'll go over his head a lot of it.
I also saw there's a new show on Apple TV. It's called Shrinking with Harrison Ford and Jason Segel. And my friend Amanda saw it and said it was really good. And so that has moved to the top of my list.
Okay.
I'm like, I like it. I think Harrison Ford is playing a shrink and Jason Segel is his patient. And it's supposed to be a comedy. So
I like the both of them.
Me too. So I'll definitely check it out. She really liked it. So she said it reminded her of Ted Lasso a little bit. And I was like, okay, I like Ted Lasso.
That's a recommendation. Yeah.
So there's our Rex. My friend, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on social media at Brooklyn Fit Chick for Twitter and Instagram. And my site is brooklynfitchick.com. And on TikTok, I'm at my name, Margot Donahue.
And if you like the sound of our voices, and I assume you do, we also host a podcast called What a Creep. We mentioned it a few times already, where we talk about creeps of the past and the present. Right now, our episode is about
Howard Hughes.
Howard Hughes. The guy from The Aviator. It's super fun. Please join us. If you like Dorking Out Show, you could email us at dorkingoutshow@gmail.com. We'll send you some stickers if you would like some stickers. And maybe you could give us a review wherever you listen to your podcast. You can find it at dorkingoutshow.com and Dorking Out Show on Twitter. And, you can also find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Twitter and Instagram and the TikTok. Thank you, my friend, for talking about My Cousin Vinny with me.
I'm going to go make me some grits.
I'm going to get rid of these youths.